All right, let's jump right into a real-life scientific detective story. This one's got everything. A medical mystery, a clue that's been hiding in plain sight for 2 decades, and a discovery that might just rewrite the rule book on how we fight cancer.
So picture this. It's the early 2000s. We've got a small group of just 7 women, all battling advanced HER2 positive breast cancer. They decide to join a clinical trial for a really experimental vaccine. The whole idea was to see if they could teach their own immune systems to become cancer-hunting machines.
So the trial ends, time goes by, a lot of time. We're talking nearly 20 years later. Researchers decide to check in on these patients, and what they find is, well, it's just astonishing. Every single one of those 7 women was still alive. And not just alive, but completely disease-free. I mean, for that type of advanced cancer, that's almost unheard of. You can imagine, this completely blew the scientists' way. This couldn't be a coincidence, right? There had to be something special about that vaccine, something that gave these women's bodies this incredible, long-lasting superpower against their cancer. So the big question became, what was it? What was their secret? To crack this case, the scientists knew they had to go back to the evidence, the survivors themselves. They needed to find the immunological fingerprint that this treatment had left behind. So they drew blood and started this massive deep dive, basically looking for clues hiding inside their immune cells. And remember, they were looking for something that had stuck around for nearly 20 years. Okay, so the main suspects here? A type of white blood cell called T cells. Now, the easiest way to think about T cells is that they are the soldiers of your immune system. They are the elite special forces, constantly on patrol, hunting for any threats, like viruses, or, you guessed it, cancer cells, and taking them out.
And sure enough, when they analyzed the T cells from these survivors, they hit pay dirt. They found their first big clue. There was this common thread that connected all of them. Their T cell soldiers, specifically the ones that were trained to fight their cancer, all had really high levels of this one particular protein.
And that protein is called CD27. So what does CD27 do? Well, think of it like a turbo boost button right on the T cell. When that button gets pushed, it does 2 amazing things. First, it powers up the T cell for the immediate fight. But maybe even more importantly, it helps create this long-term memory of the enemy. It basically ensures the T cell army never forgets what the cancer looks like, so it's always ready for a fight. And this right here, this is the aha moment. Look at this. On the left, before the vaccine, you see hardly any of these boosted CD27 cells. But look at the right. After the vaccine, the tumor is just flooded with them. The researchers knew this was it. This was the key. That old vaccine had been pushing the CD27 turbo boost button all along, creating this incredible, long-lasting army of T cells that kept the cancer away for decades. Okay, next up, boosting our immune soldiers. So finding the clue is awesome, but the real question is, can you use it? Could scientists actually recreate this effect on purpose and make future cancer vaccines way more powerful? This led them to a really powerful idea. Okay, if the old vaccine worked so well because it accidentally hit the CD27 button, what if we could push that button on purpose? What if we took a cancer vaccine and combined it with a drug that is literally designed to do just one thing, activate CD27? So they took this idea to the lab. They used mice that had the same type of HER2 positive breast cancer. They split them into 2 groups. Group 1 just got the vaccine, but Group 2, they got the vaccine plus a special drug designed to go in and mash that CD27 boost button on the T cell. And the results? Whoa, they were dramatic. Just look at this chart. The vaccine all by itself, it only got rid of the tumors completely in about 6% of the mice. Not bad, but not amazing. But when they added that CD27 boost, look at that jump, all the way to 40%. This was it. This was the proof that pushing that button on purpose could make a cancer vaccine way, way more effective. Okay, so our next section is about the unsung hero cell, because the detective story doesn't end there. They knew what to boost, right? CD27. But now they had a new mystery. Which specific soldier in the T-cell army was doing all the heavy lifting? So you gotta understand the T-cell army isn't just one thing. It's got 2 main squads. First, you have the famous CD8 killer T cells. These are the frontline soldiers, the infantry. Their job is to get in there and directly kill the cancer cells. Simple. Then you have the CD4 helper T cells. These guys are more like the field commanders. They don't usually do the killing themselves, but they organize the whole attack, call in reinforcements. They're the strategists.
Now, for years, pretty much all the focus in this field has been on the killer cells, the CD8s. So everyone just assumed that the CD27 boost was just making these killers even better. But was that really what was happening? Which one of these T cell types was the real hero of this new treatment?
To figure this out, they ran this really clever experiment. First, they took the mice and got rid of all their killer CD8 cells. Then, they gave them the vaccine plus the CD27 boost. And get this, the treatment still worked. The tumor still shrank. It was crazy. So then, they did the opposite. They got rid of the helper CD4 cells instead. And this time, the treatment completely failed. Nothing happened. The tumors just kept growing.
And that was the bombshell discovery. It wasn't the famous frontline killers that were the key, it was the field commanders. The helper CD4 T cells were the most critical players here. The CD27 boost wasn't just making better soldiers, it was making brilliant master strategists.
So our final section, a new hope for vaccines. I mean, this discovery was a total game changer, and it points toward a whole new way to think about designing these cancer treatments.
So let's just recap the mechanism here. The CD27 boost supercharges the helper cells, the commanders, and these empowered commanders then go on to orchestrate a way bigger, way smarter, and longer-lasting attack, probably by doing a better job of telling the killer T cells and everyone else what to do.
This brought up one last really exciting question. So you've got the vaccine to aim the immune system. You've got the CD27 boost to supercharge the commanders. What if you add a third thing to the mix? What about a common treatment called a checkpoint inhibitor? See, cancer's tricky. It can hit the brakes on T cells to stop them from attacking. A checkpoint inhibitor basically cuts those brake lines, letting the T cells go full throttle.
And the result of this triple combo therapy? Absolutely stunning. When the mice got all three, the vaccine, the CD27 boost, and the checkpoint inhibitor, a jaw-dropping 90% of them had their tumors completely disappear, wiped out, gone.
And that's where our detective story ends. It started with a mystery from 20 years ago and led us to this unsung hero, the helper T cell. What this research really tells us is powerful. Maybe the best way to supercharge cancer vaccines isn't just about building a bigger army of killer cells, but about creating smarter, more empowered commanders to lead the charge. And that right there could be the beginning of a whole new chapter in the fight against cancer.